Welcome to the Temp-Taker 3 video training series. This video explains the Holding Corrective Options tab located within the Process Options section of the software. Per HACCP principles and guidelines, when there is a deviation from established critical limits, for example, a chilled food item being held at a temperature outside of its safe zone of 33 to 41 degrees, a corrective action will be necessary. The initial issue at hand, as well as the action taken to resolve the issue, should be recorded, along with the appropriate time and date of the events that have occurred. With Temp-Taker 3, this process can be automated in a variety of ways, allowing you to perform all of the functions of a HACCP-based corrective action right from the Temp-Taker handheld unit. The first step in this process is to map out any and all corrective actions you would want available to choose from. Please understand these important factors before beginning. You will want to create a corrective action for each and every situation possible, according to your programming needs. Some common examples include quick chill, quick heat or reheat, discard, call maintenance, and inform management. Again, think of actions you would need for food items being held in both hot and cold situations, food items you would be cooking or even receiving, and equipment, just to name a few examples. The Temp-Taker software will allow you to create up to 38 different corrective actions on this tab. Once completed, please note that you will be able to assign these corrective actions you have created to specific areas and items of your temping program. To accomplish this task, you will need to visit the Holding Zones tab, located in the Process Options section of the software. Please also see its associated video for further explanation and instructions on how to perform these functions. Now, to practice, let's add in a new corrective action to our sample actions you see here. As you will see, we are missing one very common corrective action in regards to reheating a food item, so we will add that now. To begin, click the Add New Row button located at the top left side of the screen. A new row will appear and automatically prompt you to type in the name of this action. We will now type in the word reheat. Once completed, you will now click into the next box on the right, located in the column named Starts Continues Corrective Session. By toggling this setting to yes, anytime you temp an item out of range and choose this specific action within the Temp-Taker handheld unit, it will trigger a timed monitoring process for that specific item needing repair. Temp-Taker will then require you to address and resolve this issue by the allotted time you've set, seen here in the Session Duration column. To resolve this issue, you will enter into the Corrective Sessions application on the handheld, locate and choose the item in question, and retemp the item. If temped in range, the session ends, and this information is logged within its memory for the next data upload. If the item remains out of range, you will now be prompted again to choose from a new set of corrective actions, which will determine whether or not you continue the monitoring of the item or end the situation by choosing a corrective action that terminates the session. For instance, discard, as you see above, does not nor should not activate or continue a session, as it is a means to an end, so selecting this option would end this particular session. If a corrective session continues forward without a resolution, it will eventually expire at the end of the chosen action's session timer and be purged from the handheld. This event will then be listed as expired when viewed on a data report. If you choose not to activate a corrective session with an action you create on this screen, then that action, when chosen, will simply be stated as the resolution within the data reports. ITD Food Safety suggests reviewing your specific guidelines and best practices for your state and/or county's local HACCP requirements before deciding whether or not to add this additional feature to your system. On the next column, you will need to state what the user directive will be if this corrective action is chosen, whether the item is either below or above its safe temperature zone. Many corrective actions, like discard or call maintenance, will have a directive for out-of-range temperatures on both sides of a safe temperature zone. Others, like the one we are creating here, will not. The reasons are as follows. The corrective action reheat would most likely only be assigned to food that is located in a hot holding zone, usually a 140 to 165 degree range, like on a buffet line, for instance. If the food is temped and is below 140 degrees, this should be an option you would want to choose from. And so we will need to have a directive as to what the employee would do when the item was found to be below 140 degrees and they chose reheat as the corrective action. In this case, we would want the instructions to say something to the effect of, reheat item to 165 degrees for a minimum of 15 seconds before serving again. Now, if the hot holding item is temped and is found to be above its safe zone of 165 degrees, you wouldn't reheat it. So this action is not required to be assigned as a choice for when the food is temped above its safe temperature zone. With that being said, there would be no reason to put a directive here, since this corrective action will never be utilized in this manner. In review, this all depends on where you will end up using a specific corrective action, as some actions are very universal and broad in their design, and others are very specific, like reheat, as they would only be assigned to food that is held hot, not in a cold hold, and not used for equipment, etc. Lastly, you can organize your various rows for easier viewing by placing your mouse pointer inside the gray block at the very left side of any row, clicking and holding your left mouse button, and then dragging the row up and/or down to your desired position before releasing the button again. The various columns of information seen here can also be sorted A to Z by clicking your mouse in the center of the gray-colored title bar, located at the top of each column. A second click will reverse the sorting order from Z to A, and a third click will reset the order back to its original state. Please note that the sorting feature does expand the selection to the other columns on this screen, keeping the rows of data connected at all times. This concludes the training video on the Holding Corrective Options tab located in the Process Options section of the software. For additional questions, please email info@itdfoodsafety.com or call 321-676-3194 to reach a technical support representative.